Right, good morning, everyone. All right, so we have created 5 users, right? All right, huh? So we created development user and we have given him the Salesforce license, whereas for the customer and the manager user, sorry, and the testing user, these three, all of these three, they are having platform license. And just to show you, like I also have created one user called reporter, which is actually is having a chatter license, right? So this was like till now what we have done. Now let's understand few of the things related to the user management, because as part of the Salesforce administrator, this is something which is very important to know, and you would be the one who would be responsible to manage the activities, manage the permissions, and what type of things should be given to a user, what should not be given. So all this comes under one. We can say that all this comes under the user management. All right. So we already have understood like how we can add the users. Now let me show you few of the things, like mainly majorly, and what is the difference between deactivating a user and a freezing a user. So the first thing would be like, if you wanted to stop a user from getting logged in, right? I mean, if I wanted to prevent a user that he should not log in with the credentials he is having with us. So what can I do would be like, there are two different ways, rather three, but I'm going to discuss two right now, and one we are going to discuss it later. See, when you don't want it that there is a certain user shouldn't make a login, what you can do is like there are two different ways. Either you can deactivate that user, and second, you can freeze the user. All right. When you deactivate the user, then also he would not make a login. When you freeze him, then also he would not make a login. But let's understand what is the difference between deactivating a user and freezing a user. ठीक है, चलिए देखो. If you would know that user would never make a login in the coming future, and when this could happen, when particularly a user has when particularly a user has actually left the organization, when particularly a user has left the organization, when he left, and he maybe he don't work for a particular organization. So at that time we know that this user should not after, and let's consider that today would be the last working day of any user, right? So you should, in that case, and from tomorrow onward, he would not going to make a login. So in that case, we would have to deactivate that user. All right, we would have to deactivate. So when we deactivate a user, the circumstances would be this user would not be allowed to make a login in the coming future for anymore. We would not going to allow this user anymore to make a login. And this would be happen if the user has left the organization. He joined some other organization. He got a better opportunity, and so he left us. So this is one thing. And second, and the most important thing, whenever you deactivate a user, the license that was given to him, the license that was given to him, that comes back to the repository. That comes back to the repository. Whatever the license, the Salesforce license we have given to him, that comes back to the repository. That is what is a deactivation of a user. Now, the second way where I could prevent a user to make a login is freeze. So if you freeze a user, although he cannot make a login, but then license would remain with him. The license would remain with him. License doesn't come back to repository. License, he would still hold that license that we have given to him at the time of creation of that user. He would still have that license. but he would not make a login. So when we could give this happens, I'll tell you. I was working with there would be two circumstances. First, simple, when we would freeze a user. First one, I'll keep it simple. For example, there is a user who is taking a long vacation gap. Maybe a user is going for a trip of like 15 days to 1 month, and he got that tour approved, and we know that during his trip he would not going to make a login. He should not make a login. So we would freeze that user. All right. For example, if there is an employee, and she's a lady and she's going for the maternity leave. So in IT, there is like 6 months for almost for every MNC follow this, because that's a rule in India. It's an Indian government rule for an IT person. If I'm not sure about other organization, but for an IT person, if she is a married person and she wanted to have a maternity leave, so organizations are bounded to give paid leave of 6 months. They would going to give her 6 month leave, and that would be a paid leave. So there are so many benefits in IT, in terms of paternity leave also. If you become a father, that case also, I mean, usually organization give 7 days or somewhere, they also give 10 days. Or in Europe, it's again like 3 to 4 months they give when somebody becomes a father. So in Europe, it's like, they would give you somewhere around like 3 to 4 months to take care of your newly born child. So that is what is there is a culture in IT. So that is one circumstance. This could be one circumstances where I would recommending a freeze operation for a particular user, because I know one thing. He not he actually he is with us. I mean, he has not left us. He has not put any resignation. He just is on the leave. And after some duration, he would come back and start working. So that time I would unfreeze him. So till that, if there is a temporary hold we wanted to put up on a user that he should not log in for a certain duration, then we freeze him. Otherwise, if the user is permanently gone, he left the organization, then we deactivate him. Now, I'll tell you one thing. See, whenever you freeze, I'll discuss one circumstances. I mean, I was working with a financial project. What happens with the financial project is like, it was a bank. I mean, somewhere in, I think it was in Romania, if I'm not wrong. So it was the Bank of Romania. So that operates for between Monday to Friday, and Friday was the closing. After that, Saturday, Sunday is on holiday, because in Europe, for almost every country have adopted. There is only like, for every profession, not for just IT, for every profession, there is, I think there's 5 days working. And particularly for the IT, it's only 4 days. It's only 4 days from Monday to Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they give you as an holiday. Like Netherlands is there, Switzerland, and there's so many countries, there's so many countries who for the IT particularly, they have 4 days working. Anyways, so this was one requirement over there. Uh, every Friday evening at maybe like 5 p.m. or like 5:30, every Friday, they wanted to freeze all users, every user, and they simply don't wanted to make any transaction should be happen. Not all user, there was a set of categories of few users. I mean, there were still few users, those who can make a login on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Those would be somebody like higher managers or someone. But they have given a list of all those users, those who wanted them to become deactivated, or rather freeze, not deactivated, sorry. They wanted them to get freezed every Friday evening. So I wrote, I have written a class for that, and that class I have scheduled it. So you're going to learn something in the programming called as scheduled classes, scheduled Apex. So that scheduled Apex is one of the abhi to khair wo bhi nahi karna padega. I'll tell you one thing. The flows, the lightning flows is that powerful tool of business automation where you could manage this. ये मैं काफी पहले की बात बता रहा हूँ, when we don't have lightning flows with us. So I have written a class for that, batch class, and this batch class I make it scheduled to get run on every Friday evening at 5:30 or 6. I don't know with their time, obviously. So this was something. So sometime even this would be a requirement, where you want it for a temporary duration, and then of course on the Sunday evening, I mean, actually Monday morning, maybe like रात के 1 या 2 बजे, there was another batch class which would make every one of them unfreeze. So there was a temporary hold of 2 to 3 days so that nobody could perform a transaction, because that was a financial organization, right? That was a financial organization. So that wanted to put up that restriction. So this is like, there are two different ways you could put a restriction on a user, and you could prevent him to get logged in. All right. Let me now show you both of them. So I'll try this with a customer user. I'll open one more browser so that you would, first of all, you would understand. Let's go with the Firefox. All right, so I'm having one user called customer user. I'll first of all make a login to Salesforce. And I would be taking that user. I would be taking that user and the password. So customer user is having this name, customer 208. I hope every one of you also have created your users. The passwords, what I have decided is this one. So I would be entering this password and save it. Verification code. So I would require to make a login to the Gmail account. Your batch is 208. And this is what? Guys, your drive is getting full. When I would start development, I'm going to delete every videos of admin. I will announce this. But more importantly, you should start downloading this admin videos at your end. Start downloading this. I would be announcing this, but I'll give you 10 days for that. But you can now start downloading this videos, all of the videos on your machine. All right. See, this is our customer user. And as you have seen that I make a login, I made a login with the credentials, what we have, right? This is the username and this one is the password, right? He make a login. He make a login. All right. Now let me do one thing, and I would freeze the user. All right. I would freeze the user. And side by side, I'll look into one more thing. Company information. See, this user is holding a platform license. All right. This user is holding a platform license. If I go to the this repository, how many platform license we were having? We were having 3. We consumed all of them. All right. Now, I would first of all freeze this user as an admin, and the only administrator can do this, understand. The one who is having a system admin rights, system admin profile, he can only do this. Now, I have freeze that user. Let me now go back and try to log in once again with the same credentials. So it was, I see, you can see I'm entering the right. I'm not sure what the password it has taken. I'll just copy and paste it once again. One second, guys, one second. All right. So now I would, with the same credentials, I would try to make a login and see what happens. Please check the username and the password. If you still can't log in, contact your Salesforce administrator. So this is what happens when you freeze the user. Let's go back to, and I'll try to refresh and see while freezed. Can we get the license back to the repository? No, we still have 0. That means the license that was given to the user is still with him. All right. So I would first of all unfreeze him. I'll first of all make him unfreezed. Now I come back and I'll try to make a login once again. See. All right. Hooray. I mean, I don't want to register my phone, but yes, I would be able to make a login. Guys, just give me 2 minutes. All right. So that was about freezing a user. All right. Now, let's go back. I'll try with the second possibility, and that is to deactivate him. Now you can see this user is activated. I'll go and edit him. I would uncheck this. I would uncheck this. So as and when I try, it would give me this warning, this message. Deactivating user removes them from all delegated groups and sharing privileges. You would going to learn something called as public group and record sharing. Understand one thing. Understand one thing. Whenever you deactivate a user, you would going to learn it later, but I would have to tell you this right now, because right now we are deactivating a user. Whenever I deactivate a user, that user would also get removed from all of the public groups. You would be going to learn something called as a public group in Salesforce, and we would going to understand how to create a public group, how to add the users inside a public group, and what is the purpose of public group. Everything we were going to learn in detail. But right now, try to understand one thing. Whenever you deactivate a user, that user would be would be removed, would be removed from all of the groups. And if any record has been shared to him, you're going to learn something called as record sharing. In OWDs, there is an upcoming topic called as OWD, organization-wide defaults. Inside OWD, we would be going to learn 3 to 4 things. One of them is record sharing. There are 3 different ways a record could be get shared: manual sharing, automatic sharing, apex sharing. Whatever the type of sharing it is, whatever the type of sharing it is, if it is manual, if it is automatic, if it is apex, that user, if the record was being shared to that user by any means, from this onward, he would not going to receive that record. He would not going to see that record. All right. So this would directly create an impact on 2 things. First, it would get removed from all of the groups where you have included, the user was being included. And if any record was being shared to him by any means, manual sharing, automatic, and apex, this user would not have any more access. The following page prompts you to remove this user from any teams. So this is as good as you are removing that user. It's as good as, this is like, you are removing that user. So whenever this type of a message occurs, we usually ignore and just press this OK. However, my recommendation is always to learn to at least read this, right? Don't just ignore the messages. It would give you lots of information, all right? And then press OK. Now this user has been deactivated. I'm saving this. So now the user has deactivated. Now if I try to make a login once again with the right credentials, still I would not be making a login. The first impression, user would not make a login. Let me show you this. I'm copying my username and the password, and let me try with this. See, user would not make a login, definitely. And the second thing, let's go back to this and let's try to refresh. And you see one thing, we got back one license. We got back one license. One license come back to the repository. One license is being deposited to the repository. And this license was the license that was given to this user. Now, because the user has deactivated, we got this license back. All right. So this is what majorly is a difference between deactivating. I'm going back and I'm activating this user once again. See, when you are activating him back, you must have license that was given to him. If, listen this, everybody, if I would give this license to somebody else, I cannot activate this user back because he would require a user Salesforce license, a platform license. If when this license is available, that's the reason this license is available. And that is the reason I would be able to reactivate him. Let me show you. I saved and it would become an activated user. But this would only happen if the license, if you're having license with the license that was given to him, if you are having that license. But if this one has been given to somebody else, I cannot make that user reactivated. Having a license for him is very essential. Understand? Now, when I go back and I'll try to make a login, you would make a login. All right. This is how we can prevent the user from getting logged in. This is the preventing from the user from getting logged in. All right. Getting logged in. Yes. So these are the two ways you can prevent a user that he should not make a login, Try with this by today. Tomorrow, we'll start from here. Tomorrow, you also would have a class. Tomorrow is Saturday, I know, but you would have a class. That's all for today. Yes, any questions, guys? Let me give you this command. Now you can unmute yourself. Any questions? Yes, any questions? Oh, come on, you must have some questions. Why you guys hesitate yourself in asking? All right, let me show you something. I'll try to show. You don't have anything to ask? Oh, sorry. I just unshared the screen. Let me show you something. I recently have started taking training on Einstein analytics. One sec, guys, one sec. And that's an excellent feature. You won't believe what you can do with the Einstein. It's really a very stunning feature of Salesforce. Let me show you. I'm resharing my screen once again. Actually, Einstein analytics is far ahead from what we have studied with reports and dashboards. And, I'm in learning phase. I would require a few more days to learn this properly. But as and when I'm learning, I have realized that I would tell you like few of the features. So I recently learned something. Maybe this one, if I'm not wrong. Connections, yeah. See, in the reports and dashboards, like you also have learned this, right? If we have created all these reports, like I have created this report. Now, when I was creating this report, all these fields, they were coming from account object, and this account object was the part of this organization. That means this everything, this record, whatever you are looking to, this record is actually from this object only, from this org only. But with the Salesforce Einstein analytics, I can even my data source could also be an external Salesforce. I could take it from some other Salesforce organization. And I could take it not just with the Salesforce. See, I could take it from Amazon. I could take it from Microsoft Dynamics, Heroku. There are so many platforms, Azure. See, from this all are built up connectors, even Google Analytics as well. W. You can take data from, you actually would require to create a connection in that case. It's a process, but more importantly, what to understand. Where you can build up a report, you can build up a dashboard, not just on the data what you have inside the org, what you have inside there, but even you can create, even you can take the data from outside world as well. That is first part. And there are so many things, I have seen this. I have seen it's a very stunning feature of Salesforce. If I go with this, maybe if I try with this, there are so many, there are so many different forms. There are so many different forms. I'll tell you, I think if I go, I should have to go with this. Where's the chart component? Background images. Maybe side this one, chart. I would have to make a research. I mean, I'm still in the learning phase. Yeah. No, 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 no. This is not the way. But but you know what I have seen? What I have seen in I mean in the conventional dashboard, we were having only few forms of charts. Like we have like this horizontal bar chart and vertical bar and all that. These were the only components. In Salesforce Einstein, when I was looking into this, I was looking, I first forgot. But then I have seen, there were somewhere around like maybe like 45 to 50 different forms. So that was really an amazing feature. 45 to 50 different forms of chat. How to open, I just forgot. So I'm taking a training of this right now. It's really, really a good thing. You won't believe what is being possible with the Einstein analytics. All right. But that's a company sponsored training, so I cannot share videos because I myself was learning from the Udemy platform. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? All right then. No questions. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.